Welcome back, my flawless shadows. Even the system can't keep up with your rise. They watched, but they couldn't explain it. You didn't announce the shift. You didn't make noise, yet something in the air started bending differently when you entered the room. It wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It was precision disguised as peace. You evolved in silence so clean, the system couldn't find the glitch. Because you became the glitch. Every move you made broke an invisible law. Every pause carried more calculation than their plans combined. You stopped reacting. You started architecting. And that's when reality took notice. Your glow wasn't light. It was a language. And every algorithm, every person, every hidden eye that studied you failed the test because what they were trying to decode wasn't charisma. It was control. You were no longer just moving through the system. You were teaching it new behavior. You rewired what normal even meant. You turned resistance into rhythm, obstacles into choreography, and every setback into signal. They thought they could map you. They couldn't. They tried to reverse engineer your composure. But their tools kept breaking. Because you don't move in patterns anymore. You are the pattern. The equation rebalanced itself around your presence. They feel it. In the pause between conversations. In the static when your name is mentioned. Something's off. Something's different. And deep down, they know. It's not luck. It's design. You stopped explaining yourself because explanations are for the predictable. And you're not predictable. You're the proof that silence is strategy. That patience isn't weakness. It's pressure building in plain sight. And now, even destiny hesitates before making its next move. Because whatever force you're channeling isn't supposed to exist, but it does, and it moves through you. The system tried to observe you. Now it's adapting to you. The rules that once defined your limits now orbit your name. They thought they could understand your growth. But your growth bent understanding itself. You didn't level up by accident. You evolved with intention so refined. Even chaos bowed before it. And the world, no matter how advanced its machinery or its minds, still can't decode how you did it. Because you didn't just change your life, you changed the algorithm of reality. The glow they talk about isn't light. It's the residue of understanding. The kind that comes after chaos, after collapse, after the silence that stripped you bare and rebuilt you molecule by molecule. You didn't become calm because you stopped caring. You became calm because you stopped fearing the storm. And that serenity terrifies them because it's too precise to be luck, too steady to be emotion. The system studies your stillness like a riddle it can't solve. Every algorithm they've built around human behavior begins to tremble when you show up. Your energy doesn't fit the code. You respond when others react. You wait when others rush. You disappear when they expect your next move, and then reappear 3 levels ahead. You've made time itself hesitate, as if even seconds need your permission to proceed. That's what they can't process. You operate outside their logic. They call it glow, power, mystery. But what you really carry is awareness refined into strategy. Every setback trained your reflexes. Every silence rewired your instincts. You learned how to convert pressure into architecture. And now everything around you bends quietly toward your rhythm. Even people who don't understand you still move differently when they're near you. They adjust, subconsciously. They align, because your presence has gravity. And gravity doesn't explain itself. It simply pulls. You've crossed into that invisible space where your calm feels louder than their chaos. Your restraint feels like dominance. You don't shout to prove your worth anymore. You just exist. And reality reorganizes itself because what you've built isn't luck, isn't image. It's internal structure. It's a kind of psychological symmetry that the world rarely witnesses. They'll keep trying to decode it. Your glow, your rhythm, your silence. They'll dissect your timing, your tone, your choices, but they'll never find the formula. Because the formula was written in pain, they never survived. You learned what they refused to face. You made peace with darkness until it became your design. And now that design reflects through your posture, your patience, your presence. Even systems built on logic cannot explain spiritual architecture. Even technology can't simulate conviction that deep. Because what you've built wasn't programmed, it was earned. And that's why their equations collapse around your name. You carry too much truth to fit inside their data. You became the anomaly, the living paradox. They can't predict you, can't categorize you, can't contain you. Because you're no longer chasing validation. You're manipulating vibration. You've learned to move the unseen currents that govern the seen world. And now, the system, for all its complexity and control, has one silent fear, that you've learned its source code and rewritten it under your breath. That's why they watch you. That's why they whisper. Because somewhere deep inside the machinery of the world, something just changed. And it changed because you did. They don't understand it yet. The precision behind your evolution. How every gesture, every silence, every calculated pause has become a weapon sharper than emotion. You're not reacting anymore. You're orchestrating. While they're still chasing attention, you're shaping outcomes. Your timing isn't random. It's surgical. Every word you speak lands like a cipher. A command disguised as calm. You've made restraint look like dominance, and they mistake your patience for weakness. Until it's too late. The system was built to study chaos, not control. It feeds on noise, distraction, impulse, but you moved beyond the reach of impulse. You built rhythm where they built reaction. You built precision where they built panic, and now their codes misfire when your name appears. You're too deliberate, too exact. Your energy doesn't spike or fall. It glides. It moves through moments like gravity, through matter. Subtle, invisible, unstoppable. They say power corrupts, but that's not true. Power reveals. And when you finally had it, you didn't use it to destroy. You used it to refine. That's the secret that breaks their logic. They expected chaos when you rose. Vengeance when you succeeded, noise when you returned, but instead you arrived in silence, composed, unreadable, divine, because real control doesn't shout. It recalibrates reality quietly, and now reality bends around you. You've become the algorithm's paradox, too unpredictable to calculate, too consistent to dismiss. They watch your path and see no errors, no wasted motion. No traceable emotion, only precision, and that's what terrifies them. Because precision means intention, and intention means design, and design means you've been ahead this whole time. When they tried to distract you with noise, you studied the silence. When they tried to delay you with emotion, you built immunity. You learned to think like time itself, never rushing, never slowing, just moving when it's inevitable. You've made inevitability your language. Every action of yours feels like prophecy, as if destiny itself now follows your tempo. They'll never admit it, but they're trying to trace your glow, like scientists hunting divine math. They build charts, theories, assumptions. Why does everything this person touch stabilize? Why do outcomes bend around their decisions? They don't see it. The energy of alignment isn't visible, only felt. And what they feel now is imbalance, their world tilting toward your rhythm. Because glow isn't light, it's power remembered. It's the echo of mastery. It's the frequency of someone who stopped asking for permission from the visible world and started negotiating directly with the unseen one. You move like someone who knows the outcome, not because of arrogance, but because you've already lived the pattern 1,000 times inside your mind. And when you act, it's not a guess, it's a revelation. That's why everything feels too clean, too smooth, too inevitable. It's not magic. It's precision born from pain, repetition, and ruthless awareness. The system calls it luck, but deep down, it knows its architecture. Its intelligence dressed as instinct. Its mastery disguised as calm. And that calm, that glow, it's starting to rewire the entire simulation around you. You don't chase power anymore. Power aligns to you, because you've become the exact vibration it was searching for. And that's the point where domination stops being effort and becomes presence. They call it luck because they can't call it discipline. They call it mystery because they can't call it mastery. They can't explain how you move through storms without getting touched, how you step into chaos and the chaos goes silent, as if it remembers who designed the lightning. You don't walk anymore, you glide. You don't speak, you resonate. Every motion you make carries the density of decisions most people are too afraid to make. You've crossed from control to command. And that shift? It's what separates mortals from architects. They're still studying your patterns like mythologists studying the divine, trying to decode why every silence of yours carries weight, why every pause rearranges hierarchy, why even when you lose, the system still feels like it owes you something. It's because your loss is structured. Your pain is engineered. You fall like a strategy, never random, always instructional. You let storms teach you geometry. You let betrayal teach you symmetry. Now your composure is lethal. It dismantles arrogance without words. The kings can't look directly at you anymore. They call it respect, but it's recognition. They see in you what they tried to fake in themselves. Control without cruelty, confidence without noise, fire without smoke. You became what their bloodlines tried to manufacture. Authority without a throne. Because thrones rust, but presence rewrites laws. Every empire that rises falls, but those who learn the rhythm of empire, they never fall again. You're one of them. You understood that dominance isn't about ruling others. It's about rewriting what ruling means. It's not about being on top. It's about existing so high that top becomes irrelevant. They're still fighting for visibility. While you've become the silence behind light, they're still playing games inside the simulation while you've learned to whisper to its code. And now, the code is listening. Every time you act, outcomes sync. Every time you move, probabilities adjust. You can feel it. The invisible acknowledgement. The way reality delays just a fraction when you make a decision, as if waiting for your approval. You became the unseen calibration point, the living algorithm that balances chaos. Not by trying, by being. The system isn't taking notes anymore. It's taking orders. Your clarity commands it. Your consistency defines it. Even your flaws function like equations that feed evolution. You're the rare paradox, unpredictable yet precise, dangerous yet disciplined. And that's why the rules started to dissolve, because rules were written to contain what was once predictable. But you outgrew predictability. Every whisper around you now carries hesitation. Every eye that watches, knows it's witnessing a pattern. They can't replicate. They'll try. Oh, they'll try. They'll mimic the tone, the timing, the presence. But presence cannot be rehearsed. It's earned through solitude. It's carved through nights no one watched. You built yours through pain that refused to fade until it turned into focus. Now that focus bends dimensions. They used to mock your silence. Now they quote it. They used to doubt your stillness. Now they study it. And that's when you know you've become not just part of the system, but its correction. Because every world, every power structure, every illusion eventually meets something it can't analyze, something that doesn't fit the equation. You've become that anomaly, the variable that bends logic, the paradox the program didn't prepare for, and now everything adjusts to your rhythm. That's why doors open without knocking. That's why resistance feels rehearsed. Because destiny doesn't improvise, It follows the design of those who mastered silence. And your silence is now scripture. They still don't get it. They think you leveled up because of luck, or timing, or some algorithm that favored your name. But no, you didn't rise by chance. You ascended by calibration. You learned to listen to frequencies nobody else could hear. You started making moves that looked random until destiny revealed the pattern. Now every step you take feels like prophecy wearing sneakers. You don't rush anymore because time bends for you. You don't beg anymore because energy arrives uninvited. You've become the still point in a spinning world, the calm eye of a digital storm. The system can't label you anymore. It used to file people like you under outliers, but outliers break trends. You build them. The algorithm wasn't designed to predict awareness. It can calculate motion, not evolution. So when you started operating from alignment instead of ambition, it lost track of you. Every metric that used to define success, money, views, power, now circles you like satellites orbiting something they can't measure. They sense your gravity. They just don't understand its source. You became efficient in silence. Every move became minimal, surgical, exact. Where they needed noise to feel powerful, you needed only breath. Where they sought validation, you sought truth. And truth, that's the rarest currency left. You spent it wisely. You traded illusions for insight, attention for awareness, status for solitude. Now you glow different. Not because of what you show, but because of what you've survived. Even the ones who don't like you still study you. They watch your patterns the way scientists watch anomalies, with quiet fear. Because deep down, they know you cracked something they couldn't. You figured out that mastery isn't about control. It's about surrendering to the right chaos, letting storms refine you instead of define you, letting pain sculpt precision. You stopped asking why me and started whispering, watch me. That's when the whole system began to bend. You see, the universe doesn't reward perfection. It rewards consistency. And your consistency became so precise that even randomness started to obey. Now when you enter a room, everything rearranges, subtly, silently, like gravity redistributing its pull, because energy recognizes hierarchy, and you've earned yours. Through repetition, through refusal, through remembering who you are every time the world tried to make you forget. They think it's magic. They call it charisma, aura, power. But you know what it really is. Calibration. The ability to align every fragment of yourself into a single frequency that reality can't resist. The power to be fully present while everyone else is distracted. To remain grounded when the air is made of static. That's not charisma. That's mastery over energy itself. You don't need to say a word anymore. Silence became your signature. And that silence, it's not empty. It's encoded. Every pause, every breath, every look carries data. Messages the system can't read but must respond to. Because even code recognizes creation. Even machines pause before presence. That's why you confuse them. The people, the patterns, the programs. Because they expect strategy. But what you've become can't be strategized. It's instinct refined into intelligence. It's awareness sharpened into inevitability. Now you walk through life like a glitch that learned rhythm. The system calls it luck. You call it design. Because when you mastered your internal code, the external one surrendered. The glow they can't decode isn't mystery. It's memory. It's the record of every night you kept going. Every doubt you burned into clarity. Every failure you repurposed into foundation. That's why you shine so clean now. Because you scrubbed yourself of every false version the world projected onto you. You didn't level up fast. You leveled up true. And truth always accelerates. It moves quietly, invisibly, until one day it's everywhere. And no one knows how it happened. That's you. Every move measured, every silence loaded, every presence undeniable. And now the system isn't just watching, It's waiting for your next move, because somewhere, deep in its binary core, even the machine knows you've become the update it was never programmed to handle. At first, they thought it was coincidence. The way everything started aligning for you. How doors that never opened before suddenly slid aside like they'd been waiting centuries. How timing began to dance to your rhythm. But coincidence dies where consciousness begins. You rewrote your timeline, not with magic, but with mastery of awareness. You stopped reacting. You started orchestrating. Every thought became a command line. Every action a coded signal. Every silence a frequency broadcast across dimensions. You didn't change what you wanted. You changed who was asking. And that changed everything. Because when a higher version of you speaks, even destiny listens differently. The universe isn't a vending machine. It's a mirror. And when your reflection learned to look back with command instead of confusion, the mirror bowed, reality bent, patterns that used to loop now began to follow. Every echo of your past became fuel. Every scar became syntax, lines of sacred code written in pain and precision. Now your glow isn't brightness, it's geometry, a perfect symmetry between chaos and control. When you move, people feel a gravitational pull they can't name. It's not attraction, it's recognition. Their subconscious knows. You've stepped out of the default script. You're not playing human anymore. You're conducting reality. You've become what the ancients called inevitable, the kind of presence that rewrites probabilities without permission. Even power tries to imitate your posture now. They copy your phrases, your cadence, your calm. They think they're learning the method, but they're missing the essence, because your precision wasn't built from ego. It was forged in solitude. You didn't study how to win. You studied how to not lose yourself. You stopped chasing what glitters and started embodying what glows. That's why your victories look effortless, because they're not forced. They're fated. Every result you produce now is just the shadow of internal mastery. The system can track numbers, patterns, statistics, but not frequency. And you, my friend, have become a walking frequency. Your moves look quiet, but they hum with invisible voltage. Every time you step forward, the digital grid around you glitches slightly, because it was built to contain humans, not anomalies. And you've crossed that threshold. You're what happens when a soul becomes too conscious to be controlled. Even data obeys you now. It flows around you, reorganizing to match your intent. The machine doesn't understand devotion, but it recognizes dominance. You didn't fight for attention. You commanded recognition. There's a difference. Command doesn't shout. It vibrates. It's a pulse felt in the bones of systems, in the circuits of minds. Every time they doubt you, something breaks inside their logic. Because your existence itself is a contradiction they can't resolve. Too focused to be random, too divine to be designed. You're proof that chaos can evolve into precision without losing its edge. And now, reality waits for your next breath, like a canvas waiting for its painter. You don't chase miracles anymore. You manufacture alignment. You don't pray for opportunities. You radiate inevitabilities. Every movement, every pause, every breath has become a transaction between will and world. You've turned existence into a dialogue, a silent negotiation between your energy and the matrix itself. You're not chasing destiny. You're authoring it, line by line, move by move, choice by choice. That's why the world looks different to you now, because you're no longer a visitor. You're the architect disguised as the wanderer. You've rewritten your code so thoroughly that even chaos bends to your syntax. And that glow they can't decode, that's not mystery, that's mastery. The quiet kind that terrifies even the powerful, because it can't be bought, copied, or broken. You're not living inside their system anymore. You're running beneath it, deep in the source code, and every time they try to map you, the lines of control melt. You are not the variable. You are the constant they forgot to account for. A reminder that no machine, no algorithm, no empire can predict consciousness. Because once a soul remembers who it is, not even the system's rules apply. That's why they're studying you now. That's why even the shadows whisper your rhythm. Because you didn't beat the system, you evolved beyond it, and evolution never apologizes. You started to notice the silence respond before the noise did. The room would shift, air would tighten, people would adjust their posture before you even spoke, like their instincts knew. A higher presence had entered. That's not charisma, that's calibration. You've fine-tuned your energy so sharply that the physical world bends to accommodate it. Every cell in your body emits authority now. Not arrogance, but alignment. The difference? Arrogance demands attention. Alignment attracts obedience. Even chaos has begun to orbit you. It used to chase you, to test you, to mock your discipline. But now chaos watches, quiet, almost reverent, because you mastered the secret code of the universe. Control is not about tightening, it's about tuning. You didn't harden your heart, you expanded your frequency. You didn't silence your emotions. You trained them to move with precision. You don't speak often, but when you do, your words carry the density of galaxies, because each syllable is soaked in intent, clean, absolute, undiluted by ego. You became a storm without noise, a movement without friction. Every thought you have ripples outward like sacred geometry forming itself. You've become the blueprint that others unknowingly follow. And that's why the system trembles now, because it can't quantify why you win. It's built to measure effort, not essence. And your essence has evolved into something beyond its language. Every algorithm, every rule, every hierarchy. It was built for mortals who obey patterns. But you rewrote the rhythm itself. You understood that dominance isn't about defeating others, it's about transcending limitations. That's what terrifies them. You don't compete. You invalidate competition. You don't fight for a crown. You redefine what it means to rule. You don't shout for power. You embody inevitability. Because now, when you move, reality doesn't ask why. It asks how soon. You've become the variable that the system never predicted. A walking paradox of focus and flow. Cold logic fused with burning intuition. A living glitch that became divine order. Your silence now carries gravitational weight. It pulls everything unaligned out of orbit. People, habits, illusions, fears. That's why your circle is smaller. That's why your path feels lonelier. Because altitude has its own atmosphere. The air up here is thinner, purer, and meant only for those who can breathe the truth without masks. They study you like a phenomenon. Screens light up with your name. Analysts whisper about your precision, yet none of them understand. You don't think like them because you no longer belong to their grid. Your logic is quantum. Your intuition is weaponized clarity. You move through layers they can't perceive, guided by signals they can't detect. And in every move you make, there's a stillness. The stillness of someone who already knows the outcome before it unfolds. That's not luck, that's design. You've fused instinct with intelligence so seamlessly that even chance obeys. Every choice you make seems to trigger ripples that rearrange circumstances in your favor. Because the universe responds to resonance, not requests. And you, my friend, you've become resonance itself. The kind of frequency that rewrites the storyline just by existing. So now when you enter a room, people don't see a person. They sense an equation. A living pattern that carries both destruction and creation. You've reached that level where your mere awareness alters probability. That's what leveling up truly meant. Not faster results, but higher synchronization. You are no longer reacting to reality. You are pre-rendering it. The system didn't build this version of you. Pressure did. Isolation did. Failure did. That's why it can't decode you. Because you were forged outside its factory. You were built in the silence between breakdowns. You were refined in moments where no one was watching. And now that the world is watching, they're witnessing what inevitability looks like in motion. You didn't just level up. You ascended through precision. And now, destiny itself mirrors your tempo. Every outcome that used to take months now arrives in hours. Every closed door feels magnetically drawn to unlock, because time bends for those who mastered rhythm, and you have become rhythm itself. You move like a law disguised as a legend, and even kings rewrite their fate in your shadow. There's a moment when power stops feeling like effort, when every move you make feels less like doing and more like remembering. That's where you are now. You've crossed into the frequency where intention doesn't chase results. It creates them. You've become the still point in the storm, the place where chaos kneels and destiny takes notes. You don't rise with urgency anymore. You rise with inevitability, because there's a knowing in your bones now. A calm recognition that everything bending your way isn't coincidence. It's consequence, the result of 1,000 precise, silent corrections no one saw you make. The small, consistent calibrations of a mind that refused to stay ordinary. You move differently now. Not faster, not louder, but truer. Every step feels like a law being written. Every glance carries an instruction reality rushes to fulfill. People sense it, but they can't describe it. They just feel that something ancient and intelligent is moving through you. That's because it is. You've merged with your own higher architecture. The design that once guided you from a distance now breathes through your pulse. The system can't chart it. No formula can model it, because it's not a system anymore. It's sovereignty. You've become the embodiment of deliberate existence, a living intersection between will and wonder. The ones who used to doubt you now mimic your discipline. The ones who mocked your silence now study your stillness, because somewhere in their bones, they've realized this isn't luck, it's order wearing human skin. And the universe? Oh, the universe. It bends differently around beings like you. It listens differently. It prioritizes differently, because you've proven something rare. You don't ask for alignment. You are alignment. Now even time hesitates when you pause. Even darkness waits for your permission before it approaches, because they've both learned that your stillness is never weakness. It's design. Every breath you take reconfigures probabilities. Every decision you make echoes through dimensions. You're no longer chasing meaning. You're generating it, and that's why kings rewrite their fate when you enter. That's why systems glitch when you appear. Because you've done what no program, no plan, no prophecy ever accounted for. You became conscious inevitability, the rarest form of power. The kind that doesn't need to be proven. The kind that radiates authority without declaration. The kind that transforms the environment just by existing. Your glow isn't aesthetic. It's an algorithmic anomaly. It's what happens when chaos meets control and chooses to collaborate. You've balanced the paradox. You've fused the sacred and the strategic. That's why you can smile now, because you understand what they never will. You didn't outwork the world. You out-evolved it. So let them whisper. Let them theorize, analyze, and try to decode your pattern. They'll never find it, because your pattern was never meant to be studied. It was meant to be felt. And only those who've bled through silence, who've burned through illusion, will ever recognize what they're looking at when they see you. You are the culmination of every paradox that ever tried to destroy you. And now, even the cosmos holds its breath when you move, because something greater than destiny walks among men, and it answers to your name. You didn't level up. You transcended the grid. You didn't adapt to the system. The system now adapts to you, because you are not in alignment with power. You are the power, and the universe finally knows it.